Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and I've got a nice oolong tea from a more unique location, a little bit out of the way as far as it's historically not new, but not one that you often see listed nowadays. So I'm going to scoop in enough to cover the bottom inch to inch and a half diameter of my gaiwan here. This is a oolong, and so I'm using a more traditional Chinese approach. China being the kind of the origin tradition of places like Taiwan and other countries that create oolongs. So I needed enough water, and I think I got enough. I'm going to add just a splash more because I want just a little bit above the rim of my lid, which will allow the air, or actually prevent air from getting in and changing the color. So that's going to steep there. Now in this particular package, what you saw me do, there was an internal package which was vacuum sealed, keeps oolongs fresher longer. This was inside the external package here, which after you open the vacuum seal, this does have a zip top lid to help keep it fresh after you've opened and used. So talk about this particular tea. This is from PT Harendong, which is in Indonesia. This is their organic medium oolong, medium referring to the extent of oxidation that takes place. You can have lighter, greener, less oxidized oolongs, or you can have darker, more thoroughly oxidized oolongs, and that again, the oxidation is similar to cutting open an apple or an avocado, and that oxidation, that change of color, that browning that takes place. Same thing happens in the process of tea, and those degrees of oxidation can affect what flavor profiles and character the tea presents. So, having said that, PT Harendong, you can find some of their product via Tealet, Tealet.com. I didn't, at the time of posting, I did not see this particular tea posted or available on Tealet. Their product packaging here indicates that they are USDA organic as well, and so you can start off, perhaps best place is to start off by looking at the PT Harendong website. I'll link to that. Now I'm going to look at the dry leaf here, talk about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor, starting here with the dry. A nice, first thing that hits is a nice kind of shrubby sweetness there. I'm thinking English laurel. There's the sweet flower that comes off of some shrubs, hedges. It's that type of sweetness. There's a sweet grapevine kind of smell coming off. The actual wild grapevine itself can have a woody kind of sweet aroma to it. Scooping in here, getting a look at these leaves. They are balled or rolled, like you often see with, say, Taiwanese oolongs, Tieguanines as well. These are a pale or light brown over towards a dark, kind of a dull-looking green. I see a little bit of stem, indicating this is going to be, in some cases, in several cases, more than one leaf together. Let's see what else. Size indicates as well that these are, in many cases, going to be more than one leaf. In this particular spoonful, the size is fairly consistent. A lot of these look to be more than one leaf. You may get an individual leaf here or there, but the actual steeped leaf will show us more of that. So I'm going to move on now and get into the steeped leaf, the wet leaf. I'm going to angle my lid over to the side. So actually I need it a little bit tighter. I don't want leaves to slip through. And give it a nice smooth pour. Shake out any last few drops there. Okay. And set that to the side. Talk a little bit about this liquor. The wet leaf here. Give that a shake. Let those leaves kind of settle back down to the bottom. Just let them loosen up a little bit. There's a roasty smell, a deep roast, roasted peanut kind of smell. Maybe even a few of those peanuts, those nuts got a little scorched, started to get a little extra toasty, a little extra brown. Underneath that, as it cools, still that shrub, English laurel sweetness. Perhaps you might detect a little bit of a woodiness, sandalwood, camphor wood kind of smell. Yeah, starting to pick up, the sweetness picks up as it cools there as well. And so you can get almost a kind of a baked gingerbread kind of sweetness there too. So there's a blend of sweet, toasty, warm, kind of woody, kind of sweet smells coming off there. I want to grab a few leaves and look at those. An example of what I was talking about as far as a leaf, perhaps, yeah, 2 leaves, a third leaf or leaf portion there. Looks like there was a tip, maybe a 4th leaf there on this one. Let's see what else I can grab here. 2 leaves. Now, some of these leaves have not fully unfurled. They're fairly tight, still fairly crinkled. You can see ragged edges. These leaves, because of the processes of rolling and all the roasting that may, if there's any kind of little thin exposed surfaces, those can get a little extra dry, crinkle up, and fall off. Let's see, an individual leaf. So there are some individual leaves. This individual leaf, because it was by itself, did loosen up a little bit more easily, and you can tease that open. This is a fairly fragile leaf. It's going to tear fairly easily. It's got a little bit of thickness to it as well. So it's not the oldest leaf. It's not the most leathery, but it tears fairly easily. So that gives us an idea of the leaves there, the wet leaf. Swirl and hold up to the light to look at that amber color. It's actually less orange, a bit more towards a golden brown honey kind of color there. Roasty notes coming off again, something more of a toasted grain. A bit of the English laurel grapevine type of sweetness there, wild grapevine coming off as well. Still looks nice in the cup. A couple of bubbles forming, which some people suggest there's a bit of a saponin content to this, which gives it a saponin related to the word soapy. So it gives it that kind of bubbly, very not a visual, highly visible film, but still something there that's creating those bubbles. Nice honey roasted peanut. So you get the sweetness, you get the toasty aspect, the roasted aspect of a nutty kind of sweetness there. Texture-wise, it's got a bit of silkiness to it. It's not watery. It's somewhere between silken to brothy, so it's got a smoothness to it. Aftertaste. Well, the texture, the mouthfeel is holding quite well. Still got this kind of soft smoothness on the tongue. The aftertaste is light, not the most intense, but fairly consistent and thorough. I'm getting throughout the back half of my mouth, a little bit into the top of my throat here as well. The same kind of warm, roasted, sweet aspects going on. Honeyed sweetness there. Again, something baked in honey, roasted in honey, nuts, peanut kind of aspect there. Some nice gummy, light. It makes the saliva a little bit thicker, a little bit more syrupy-like. So that's a nice kind of filling aspect about the aftertaste of this tea. I'll give it one more shot. As it cools, you get more of that English laurel sweetness, that English laurel flower, shrubby kind of shrub flower, more towards the front notes as you sip and slurp. And yet that aftertaste is still there. It's a little bit gentler now as this cools, but still holding, still carrying on, still got the honey roast sweetness there to it as well. So overall, this tea is fairly smooth. It's fairly consistent. It's got some nuance there. As it cools, it begins to build up a little bit of this, while still holding on to what it had there in its warmer stages. Nice roundedness to this tea. I would give this tea a 91. Nice positive ingredients. Again, a nice repeated and consistent rounded kind of experience overall. So come back to Walker Tea Review to look for these teas, maybe from new or unique areas that you're looking for. Look for these. They'll show you teas that also have that kind of rounded, full experience that you may be looking for. They give you that experience of aftertaste, of texture, of flavor and aroma. You can subscribe to get tea reviews like this sent directly to your email. You can also subscribe to the member content, which is a separate section, to get more in-depth articles and information about places like Indonesia and others.